Here is our newly created product list component, and here is the app component we created earlier. Note that I've excluded some of the code here on this slide, such as the import statements and class details for a better fit. We'll see the complete code when we get back to the demo. When a component has a selector defined, as we have here, we can use the component as a directive. This means that we can insert this component's template into any other component's template by using the selector as an HTML tag, like this. The product list component's template is then inserted into this location in the app component's template. So this is the first step when using a component as a directive. Use the name defined in the selector as an HTML tag in another component's template. When this template is displayed, Angular looks for a component that has a selector with this name. We could have hundreds of components in our application. How does our application know where to look for this selector? The application looks to the Angular module that owns this component to find all of the directives that are visible to this component. Every Angular application must have at least one Angular module, the root application module, commonly called app module. Currently, our app module declares our root application component, app component. A component must belong to one and only one Angular module. The app module bootstraps the application with this component, so it is the first component that is loaded for our application. Our app module also imports the system browser module to pull in the features it needs to run this application in a browser. So this is what our app module currently looks like. An Angular module defines the boundary or context within which the component resolves its directives and dependencies. So when a component contains a directive, Angular looks to the component's module to determine which directives are visible to that component. What does that mean for us? Well, for Angular to find the PM products directive used in the app component, the product list component must also be declared in this Angular module. This is the second step when using a component as a directive. We need to ensure that the directive is visible to any component that uses it. There are two ways to expose a directive in an Angular module. We can declare the component in the Angular module as we show here. Or if the component is already declared in another Angular module, we can import that module, similar to how we import browser module here. Now let's jump back to the demo and give this a try. We are back in our sample app. We defined a selector for our product list component here, so we can use it as a directive in any other component. Let's use it in the app component. So instead of displaying my first component, we'll display our new product list template here. Replace the div tags with PM products. Are we ready to see our result in the browser? Oh my, it failed to compile. Going back to the code, let's open the terminal window. If you have multiple terminal windows open, use this drop-down to select the window where the application is running. Here we see the error, PM products is not a known element. And with this error, Angular gives us a solution. If PM products is an Angular component, and in our case it is, then verify that it is part of this module. Ah, yes. We didn't do step 2 and declare it in our application's Angular module. We'll open the app module and add product list component to the declarations array. Well, we're getting a squiggly line here. That means we have an error. Any guess as to what's wrong? If you said we're missing the import, you are correct. Everything we declare must be imported. Now that our syntax error is gone, let's try it again. There's our page. It's not complete, and it's not interactive yet, but we have the basics in place. Note that after a compile error, you may need to refresh the browser page or restart the compiler in order to see the changes in the browser. So we successfully used our product list component as a directive. We added the selector as the directive in the containing components template. We declared the component to the application's Angular module. Now we are ready to power up our user interface with data binding and some built-in Angular directives.